Hi, my name is Tina, and this is Knitting Blooms. In this episode, I share with you the amazing week that I have had. I have a number of finished objects to share with you, but because of time restraints, I don't show you any of my whips this week. I also share a few ideas and goals that I have for the podcast this summer, as well as a reward system that I will be setting up for my future stash enhancements. I also share the details about finding your Ravelry number. Check out the credits at the end of the show to find out how you can get in touch with me. I really enjoy hearing from each and every one of you, so don't hesitate to contact me if you have a question or comment. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. I'm so happy to be sharing my time with you today. I'm trying something new today. I have distracted the cats. I put some catnip out on the kitchen floor, and I'm hoping that will keep them busy for a little bit, and then hopefully they will just chill out afterwards, so that I can share all the wonderful things I have to share with you today. Because my knitting mojo has gone through the roof in the past week, and I have so much to share with you today. I'm hoping that I can keep it under an hour. Not sure if that's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, what I might do is split it into two parts and post one this week and one next week, or one in a few days or something. I'm not sure just yet. Because I have so many things to share, and I have so many ideas for tutorials and things that I want to show you over the next few weeks. So it's going to be hard to hold it all back when it's all ready to be just bursting out of me. Anyway, so the knitting mojo has been at its max, or really close to max. And because of this, I have started watching knitting podcasts again. As I have mentioned, in the past 6 to 8 months, I have not really been watching too many podcasts. I might watch a podcast here or there, but not really anything consistent, and pretty much just my absolutely favorite podcasts. But I realized this week how much I really have missed watching knitting podcasts. Now, I'm watching all the same ones I was watching before, and I've also watched a few new ones, but I am trying to take a more casual approach to my podcast watching. Before, what I was doing was watching every podcast, every episode, and if I missed an episode, I have to watch the old episode first, because I just didn't want to miss what anybody had to say. And I finally have the realization that it is absolutely impossible to do. And I don't need to watch every single podcast. I enjoy spending my time with the podcast and watching them, but I don't have to watch every single episode. So I am taking it on as a more casual approach with that, and I'm watching just miscellaneous podcast and the most current episode only. I'm not going back and watching old episodes. Although there's still a couple podcasts, some of my favorites, that I have not gone back through my downcast and deleted the older episodes, because if by some chance I have some free time and I want to catch up on those old episodes, I will do that. But for some of the other ones that I like, but it's not that big of a deal if I miss a few episodes, I have gone ahead and marked them as watched, so I don't get too overwhelmed with watching. But I have really enjoyed catching up with some of the podcasters this week, and one of the reasons I've done that is because I'm going to Zombie Knitpocalypse next week, and there are a ton of podcasters that are going to be there. So I kind of want to just have a little up-to-date knowledge about what's been going on in their life, so when I see them, I know what's going on with them. So that is one reason why I have been watching podcasts this week. And because I have been watching podcasts, I have been doing some knitting. I have a lot of knitting to show you today. But another reason that I've been doing a lot of knitting is because my stress level has taken a nosedive. Now, I have told you the last few weeks, or the last few times I've podcasted, my stress level has been really high. It's been stressful at work, we've been busy at work, and my boss has been a little bit on edge because we are down one person in the office, and so we are all taking on a bit more work. And so stress level at work has been crazy. And everyone knows when you're under stress, you just don't feel like doing a lot of things. Even fun things like knitting, like I love to knit, but there was nights when I'd come home from work and I'd be like, oh, I just don't feel like doing anything. And even if I did knit, I didn't have the energy to really knit. I mean, I'd sit and casually knit, but I wouldn't be like a production knitter like I normally am. So I have gotten a lot of knitting done. I still don't have much time to knit at work because we are still really busy. But my boss was on vacation last Thursday and Friday and this past Monday and Tuesday. And so the stress level just went way, way down. And it is amazing how much more productive I am when my stress level is at a normal level. So I do have a lot of knitting to show you today. My brain has been just churning and everything. And I have been thinking about so many things that I want to bring to you in the next couple of months. I have lots of tutorial ideas that are running through my head. I have gone back to the lists that I have been collecting for the last 2 years and have used those lists for inspiration, as well as some other things that I have been doing. I mentioned before that I am working on a new shawl design, and so a couple things that are in the shawl design have kind of inspired me to do certain tutorials. So those are going to be coming up. And then I was just, again, reading through the lists of things and drawing on inspiration from what people have suggested or asked for information on. And so I have a really long list, a long short list of things that I want to bring to you in the next few weeks. In addition to that, I have received a bunch of new ebooks from Cooperative Press, and I'm going to be bringing those reviews to you in the next few weeks. I also have 3 new products that I want to bring to you and show you and introduce you to as well. So the summer is going to be cram-packed. I might even be posting 2 episodes in a week because I have so much information to give to you. And I don't know that I want to draw it out longer than the summer. So, and maybe you guys have more time to watch podcasts and do that sort of thing. So it'll be a good opportunity for you to have more things to watch and to learn about this summer. One of the things that I have been thinking about this past week in regards to the tutorials, and the reason that I've been thinking about this is because I have been participating in a Craftsy course. I probably have 15 to 20 Craftsy courses that I have enrolled in, either free classes or classes that I've purchased. And I think I have watched one class all the way through, and I've watched bits and pieces of other classes. And what has inspired me is to start tutorial series where that is similar to what Craftsy does, where they teach you a technique and then they show you a project and walk you through the entire project for that technique. And I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work yet. Most of the tutorials will be free, but there could be some tutorials where you have to pay for them, and then it will be a passworded site. like I said, I haven't thought completely through how I'm going to do that just yet, but I'm going to start with the free ones. Now, I'm going to start a thread in the Knitting Blooms Ravelry group for you to post your suggestions on where to start. Because I have a zillion ideas, but are my ideas really what you want to see? And so I'm asking you for what technique you would like to learn, and at the same time I would like you to suggest a project for me to teach. Now, the project must be a free pattern that's out there, either on Ravelry or wherever. It has to be free. And because that's the whole idea. I can't teach a class on a pattern that is a paid-for pattern. Now, at some point, when we do get to the part where we want to start doing some classes that are going to be on a protected site with a password, then we might look into doing some patterns that are paid for. However, at that point, we need to get the designer's permission and so forth. Now, the other option is for me to design something for that particular technique. Now, that might take a little bit longer for me to work through a class if I have to design, say, a cowl or a hat or whatever to be able to demonstrate the technique, but that is not completely out of the question. So again, I'm going to set up a thread on the Ravelry group for you to go in and post your suggestions for a project series that includes some kind of obscure technique or just something that you don't know about and that you'd like to learn and you'd like to be walked through on an entire project, so that I can have somewhere to start and start planning for these project series. In addition to all of my podcast watching time, I have been spending a lot of time on Instagram, and I've really been enjoying it. I get up in the morning and I try and go through everything that I missed overnight, and I post comments or likes or what have you, and then I try and do it a couple times through the day, and the last thing that I do before I go to bed, I go through all the ones that I've missed through the day. Now, I haven't been posting that much. I think I post a picture every couple days or something, but I've really been enjoying seeing everybody's projects and just seeing, having a little window into everybody's life. And one of the things that came up in the last few weeks was the thing about the Ravelry number. Now, I mentioned this last time, and I mentioned that I had not had a chance to go in and get my Ravelry number just because things were so crazy busy. But Shy Cat on Ravelry asked me, what is that all about? And what it was, I believe that Amy from the Stockinette Zombies, her Ravelry ID is JNitma. I believe she was the one that started the whole let's go find out what our Ravelry number was. At least that's where I saw it start on Instagram. And it kind of snowballed, and everybody was going out and posting their Ravelry number. So Shy Cat wanted to know what this was all about and how to get it. And we all know that there are over 4 million members on Ravelry. And what we didn't know, obviously, was that every single member has a unique number. And there is a special kind of key combination that you can use to get your unique Ravelry number. And it's in order by when you signed up. So for instance, I signed up in May of 2007, and my Ravelry ID is 3000 something. I want to say like 3022 or something thereabout. And other people's Ravelry numbers are in the 100,000s, some are in the millions, some are even down into the 100s. I think Tammy from the Proverbial Knitter is something like 179 or something down, way down there. She was one of the first people to get into Ravelry. So now that I've said all that, you probably are wondering, how do I find out this information? What you do is you go to your profile page. On your Ravelry, you go to your notebook, and then you go to My Profile. And when you're on that profile page, you have to hit the keys on your keyboard, and it's the arrows. This is the sequence that you do it in. It's up, up, down, down, left, right, and then the letters B, A. That's B as in boy and A as in apple. So again, on your arrows on your keyboard, you do up, up, down, down, left, right, and then the letter B and the letter A. And that number will pop up just under your name, I think, or it's just under the date that you signed up for Ravelry. And you can find out what your Ravelry number is. So let's start talking about the knitting. The first finished object that I want to show you are the blankets that we made at Knitopia. And I can't really show you them that well because they're huge. I finally got the blankets back. As I told you before, when I got home from Knitopia, there were several people that volunteered to haul stuff away from Knitopia because I have a small car and I have bins and bins and bins that I take with me to Knitopia, and there's no way I can get it home. I have to rent a U-Haul van to get everything up to Knitopia. Anyway, I got the blankets back and I have washed them and they are all ready to go to a charity. This is one blanket. It is huge. And again, what we did was we knit strips on the knitting machine. You'll see here that here is a strip. We knit strips on the knitting machine, straight strips. And on some strips, like you will see on this one here, they were two different colors. And we knit a whole bunch of strips. So here is just one side. And this is only half as wide. I believe they are 5 or 6 strips wide. And I think all of the strips are the same width. And we knit strips, and then we crocheted around the edge, and then we crocheted the strips together. And I was a little nervous about how they were going to turn out because even after we crocheted them all together, they were still rolling and doing that sort of thing. And I was thinking, okay, how are we going to get this to come out? But one cycle through the washer and dryer, they are nice and flat and wonderful. So I need to do some research and find out where I can donate these. They are large blankets, so I'm thinking probably the homeless shelter or something like that. I need to call the homeless shelter and see what their requirements are and if they're in need or what. I might have to be storing these blankets until fall. I'm not sure yet. But they are finished, they are washed and ready to go to a charity. That's the first one. And this is the second one. And most of this yarn was Red Heart yarn, and honestly, it wasn't yarn that I would ever want to use, but after it was washed, they are quite nice. So here is the second one. And again, we have strips that have the different colors and whatnot, and again, it's all crocheted together, and we did use the same color. You'll notice that all the crocheted borders are the same color on this one, and on that one they're all the same color on that one. They're different colors from each other, but they're the same for the whole blanket. So again, this is a huge blanket. It's probably at least 60 inches long, probably, I'm guessing. I did not really measure it, but they are huge blankets. I mean, you can see just by the thickness, that they're pretty big. But those are done and complete and ready to go to a charity. I'm very excited about that. And I think that we're going to try and do that again next year, to do some more charity blankets at Knittopia, because that was a great project. And we probably could have completed more blankets. I believe I still have a whole garbage bag full of strips that we knit, or that we knit up, that were not crocheted together, because I think it was probably almost the second weekend before we really got going on the crocheting of the pieces together. So I think that we could have gotten more blankets completed had we really focused and gotten people motivated the first weekend. Always at Knittopia, the first weekend is always a little chaotic, not really chaotic, but you know, you're trying to get into the flow of things and whatnot, and it's just, you're so excited to see old friends and whatnot, and so sometimes we don't think about everything until midweek, when it kind of slows down a bit, and then it's like, okay, now we got to get things going. So 2 blankets completely done for the charity blankets that we did at Knittopia. And the next thing I'm going to show you is my little big shrug, because I probably need to take it off because I'm getting a little warm. But it's done, and I absolutely love it. I don't know how I ever lived without a shrug like this before. I absolutely love it, and I will definitely be knitting something like this again. Whether it's just a different stitch pattern or what, but I love it. And really all it is a rectangular piece with some decreases for the arms. See, we've got this is the widest part. Actually, if I open it up, it's this wide. This is the center of the back. So that's how wide it is. And all you do is you seam up a bit of the arm. And it's got the ribbing on the cuff and a little bit of garter stitch and some increases. And then once you get all your increases done, then you knit the pattern forever until you get to the other side, and then you decrease and you do your garter stitch and your ribbing. Now, remember the last time I talked to you, I had to rip it back and do some more. And this is where it was before. And so if you take this and just fold this in half like this, that's where it would have been when I finished it. And then I had to add all of that. That's how much too short I had made it. I thought for sure that I had plenty, and just wasn't enough. So I just ripped it back to the patterning, and then added more patterning and had to redo the cuff and the decreases and whatnot. But I absolutely love this shrug. It is very cool. Now, I call it the little big shrug because I used the width, this width, this is the width of the shrug. I used this width from the little shrug. Now it's a little booklet. I don't know if it's available as a PDF, but it comes as a little booklet, and you'll have to check my pattern page because I don't know who the pattern's by. But the pattern was gifted to me at Knittopia last year, and I bought this yarn at Stitches. Anyway, so the reason it's called the little shrug is because or the little big shrug, because I used the little shrug width-wise, but I added the lengthened arms all the way to the cuff like the big shrug. Because the little shrug was really only supposed to be like 3/4 length sleeve, and it was supposed to just stop, you know, at the pattern. The pattern, you're supposed to just knit the pattern, cast on, knit the pattern, cast off. That was it. Maybe a couple rows of garter stitch or something like that. I'm not sure. I don't recall. Anyway, I didn't think I was going to like that and have like these big wide arms. So I read through the instructions of the big shrug, and I read through the instructions of the little shrug, and I figured out how to combine the two. And I had to do a little bit of math, and I had to do a little bit of finagling in order to get to the increases for the little shrug, to make sure that I had the right number of stitches to do the little shrug. But it all worked out, and I have my notes, and I could easily do this pattern again, which I very might well do, although I could take this same concept and use a different stitch pattern and it would be just as awesome. But I love this pattern, this kind of shrug. I mean, these shrugs have been around forever. These types of shrugs where you just knit a rectangle and then seam up the arms. It's really kind of hard to show you here how it works, but it is awesome. I love it. I did reblock it, obviously, after I had to re-knit the one part, and it is fabulous. I will definitely be bringing this to Zombie Knitpocalypse because I'm guessing that there will be air conditioning on in the hotel, and I very might well need a little bit of warmth at the hotel. The next project that I'm going to show you are my featherweight socks. And the reason they're called the featherweight socks is because this is the yarn that I knit my featherweight cardigan in. And the socks are done. Finally. It just seemed like they were going on forever. The last time I showed you them, this sock was that far from being done. And why aren't we focusing here? Focus. There we go. So this one was a cuff away from being done. And this one was a little bit further away, but it's done now. And I am very excited about having them complete. Now you will notice that the socks are slightly different than one another. This one's a little bit more pink, this one's a little bit more yellow. And I had talked about possibly knitting a second pair because I have leftover yarn. But honestly, this is the second project with this yarn and I'm kind of done with it. I don't think anybody's going to be looking at my feet that closely that they're going to notice that the socks are a little bit different color. So I'm just going with it. Hi Cody, you have catnip all over you. Did you leave any catnip on the kitchen floor? Crazy. So yeah, I don't think anyone is going to be looking that closely at my feet. So I'm not too concerned about it. But I am done with them. I even wove in the ends. Can you believe it? They are done. Can you come over here, please? Thank you. They're done. Another finished object. I won't be wearing any knit socks until winter. But they're done. But honestly, I've been wearing flip-flops lately, and I've been thinking about making some little flip-flop socks that don't have toes on them that I can wear when I'm wearing flip-flops, because sometimes in the morning when I go to work and I'm wearing flip-flops, my feet get cold. Or if I'm at the office and I'm just sitting at my computer or at my desk and not really moving around a lot, my feet might get cold because the air conditioning is on or whatever. So I might make some pairs of flip-flop socks. We're going to see how that goes. I'm not sure if I will make it so that it's has a big toe and a section for little toes, kind of like a mitten, a fingerless mitt. I'm not sure yet. We're going to see how that goes. The next finished object you haven't even seen yet. Because I got a little crazy. And I don't even remember. I think it was Sunday. Or, I don't know. It was one day this week. One night I was doing something and I think I was watching podcast and I just kind of got inspired. And I knit a dishcloth. And this is from the Dishcloth Diva book that I will be reviewing soon. But I wanted to start knitting some things from these books that I'm reviewing. I want to be able to really give you first-hand knowledge of the books. Anyway, this is the Lucille Bell dishcloth, and I love this pattern. Although I had a couple little hiccups. The first hiccup was not checking for errata before I started. But I realized that on the first row because I'm reading it and I'm following the instructions, thinking at the same time, this doesn't seem right, but I did it anyway. And then on the second row, I did go and look at the pattern on Ravelry, and sure enough, there was some errata. So after that, I got that fixed. The other hiccup was, and I realized it when I was doing my cast off, was I did not read the directions. I am supposed to have a bit of a wider border here on this this dishcloth than I have here. I think I'm supposed to have like an extra 3 rows. Is that? Yeah, that's focusing. But I love the stitch pattern. It is 2 different colors, obviously, and it's a slip stitch pattern, so you're only using 1 color at a time. But look at that awesome, awesome pattern. It is so cool, and honestly, I would have finished this in 1 day. It only took a few hours to knit, but I think I started it at like 7 o'clock one night, and then the next day I didn't finish it. So I think it was I don't remember what day it was. Anyway, I started it one day, I got about halfway done, and it was time to go to bed. I had to go to bed. And then the next day I finished knitting it, and I actually added an additional repeat, so it's a little bit longer than what is called for in the pattern. But I could have knit this in 1 day, and I really like it. And I love the texture, the different colors, the using different colors, just really kept my interest going. And there's some just plain knit rows, so it was kind of like rest rows on a lace item. It was just downright fun. And I am definitely going to be knitting this dishcloth pattern again, mostly because I really like the texture. I mean, it's got those garter ridges, and it's perfect probably for washing dishes. Now, I did knit this in a mercerized cotton, and this is the first time I have ever knit a dishcloth in mercerized cotton. But I have been told that it's fine. They're better for face cloths than like washing dishes. But I wanted to try it because I have a whole bunch of mercerized cotton. Because when I was buying yarn for my first, what's it called, Bacardi cardigan, I was buying all colors because I didn't have the yarn in front of me. I was buying them online, and I was not sure how colors were going to match up. And then I bought yarn for a second one, and I'm not sure if you can see it. Some of it's right here in this area. But I have yarn for a second one. At this point, I'm not sure if I'm going to knit a second Bacardi. So if I don't knit a second Bacardi, I'm going to have a lot of extra yarn to use up. So I just pulled out these 2 colors and knit this one up. Now, I have looked at some of the other patterns in the book, and I'm going to try and knit at least 1 or 2 more of the patterns from the book before I do the review. And I have a couple other reviews that I want to get to first because they are more time sensitive than this one. So you will be seeing a review for this this Dishcloth Diva book sometime soon. Now, I wanted to show you the difference here. So this is mercerized cotton, okay? And mercerized cotton has a bit of a sheen to it. And I'm not talking to you. Mercerized cotton has a bit of a sheen to it. And this is regular cotton that you would normally use for dishcloths. So honestly, I haven't done any research to know exactly what the difference is between mercerized and regular cotton. I don't even want to say what I think it is because I don't think it is right. I don't know what it is. All I know is that the mercerized cotton that I have here can you do something? Can you go lay down or sit down on my lap or something? You're in my way. All I know is that this mercerized cotton that I have here seems like it's more of a tight weave than this, and this, obviously I can look at this and tell that this is going to absorb water a little bit better than this. I would think that the mercerized cotton would kind of repel water a little bit more than, say, the sugars and cream. I'm not real sure. If you'd like to post what the difference is in the show notes or on the Ravelry group, the thread for this episode, I would be interested to know what makes mercerized cotton different from regular cotton, and is mercerized cotton good for dishcloths? Now, in the book Dishcloth Diva, they do show a couple of dishcloths with mercerized cotton, so I would think that you can use it for dishcloths. And then the next project you have also not seen, because after I did this dishcloth, I was still even more motivated, and I made this dishcloth. And this dishcloth has, as you can tell, a ton of ends, but it is the crochet woven dishcloth from Knit Picks. And I don't know, I was going through the mail and I saw Knit Picks catalog, and I'm trying not to buy any new yarn, but this pattern really stood out for me. I was flipping through the magazine and I saw this pattern and I'm like, that is really cool. I'm not a huge crocheter and I'm not a great crocheter. I can crochet, but there's mistakes in this, and it's because of my novice ability of crochet. But I just really liked this pattern. And actually, in the catalog for Knit Picks, Cody, please, baby, you've got catnip all over you. Can you lay on my lap? Can you lay down and sit still? Yeah, I know. Can you lay down? So I saw this pattern, and actually the pattern is for a towel. I think it's like 16 by 23. And I started to do the towel, and I'm like, and at first I'm thinking I wanted to make a dishcloth, and then I'm casting on and it's like 90 stitches, and I'm like, what? No, I didn't want to make it that big. So I modified it to be a small dishcloth. And I used the same yarn, but I added the cream color as well. And it is crocheted with some extra woven stitches, and I love it. Now, I had a little difficulty with these top pieces. I mean, obviously have lots of ends to weave in, but I wasn't really sure exactly what I was doing, but I think it worked out okay. If I did this pattern again, I'm not sure if you can tell, but there's a bit of light coming through here, and because it's a dishcloth, I think that's okay. If it was the woven towel that the pattern is actually written for, then I probably wouldn't want it this loose. But for a dishcloth, you want it a little bit more open and a little bit more scrubby ability. But I really like it, and what I was trying to get at was that I ended up ordering the pattern and yarn for 3 sets because I thought it would make an excellent gift, either a housewarming gift or a Christmas gift or something. So I did buy yarn for 3 sets, which is actually, I think it makes 2 towels and for each set. So that's going to be a lot of ends to weave in, but I think it's going to be very cool. And again, it's the crochet woven towel by Knit Picks. Very, very awesomely cool. And whew, that's going to just be a nightmare weaving those ends. Weaving those ends in. But it'll get done. I can already tell that we are going to be well over an hour if I continue along this path. So we're going to skip the whips. You got to see the finished objects, but we're going to skip the whips because honestly, we're going to go on forever. And I'm also going to skip the spinning, because although I did finish my Into the World spinning, I can show you that real quick. You can't really tell much on the bobbin, and I haven't plied it yet. I wanted to let it rest because I'm going to two-ply it. Focus. I'm going to two-ply it from a center pull ball, and I really wanted to let it rest for a significant period of time. So it's still on the bobbin. But this was my Into the World. This was Classic Club from November 2012. Do you think I'm a little bit behind on my clubs? And there it is. Let's see if it's going to focus on that. There we go. Okay, so it's from November 2012, and it's Corriedale. And like I said, I'm going to two-ply it from a center pull ball. So I wanted to really let it get a good rest. I finished it. Actually, I finished it last Friday. So it's had more than enough time to rest. But I probably won't spin it until I get home from Zombie Knitpocalypse, because honestly, I don't think I'm going to have enough time to ply the whole thing before I leave. And I would just rather leave it until I get back. I have also been doing some spindle spinning, which I probably will take with me to Zombie Knitpocalypse, because that will be the only spinning that I take with me. And I have started my second braid of my North Cabin Fiber Crafts. Sammy just came down here and she's full of catnip too. Maybe I overdid it a bit. Anyway, so I have started my second braid of the North Cabin Fiber Crafts, which I'm going to two-ply. So that's my spinning. Oh, and since we're on spinning really quick, I did want to mention that I am not participating in Tour de Fleece this year, and I'm not doing any kind of spin along. But I highly encourage you to join Tour de Fleece, and you can use your whatever you spin for Tour de Fleece in the Knit Your Stash, as long as your stash was entered in Ravelry. As long as your fiber stash was entered in Ravelry prior to April 1st this year, you can use it as part of your Knit Your Stash challenge for this year. So I highly encourage you to do that. So what's next? So I'm skipping whips, but I am going to tell you about what I'm thinking about casting on. And this is where the title comes into play, because I really had to rein myself in this week, because it seemed like everything that popped up on Instagram or whatever I was doing on a podcast, I just wanted to cast on everything. So I have a number of things that I almost cast on this week that I said, hold on. Just a few weeks ago, I was saying how wonderful it was that I only had a couple things on the needles and I could knit on that one item or those two items and really get them finished. Well, now I've cast on more things, which I didn't show you, so you don't even know what I've cast on. Actually, I'll just run through the things that I have cast on. I cast on a new design, which I did have told you about, and I cast on the Through the Loops mystery shawl. So there's two new things that I've cast on. Plus, I did these dishcloths out of the blue. I wasn't supposed to do those, but I did them, and they're done, but still, sidetracked, you know? And I would have been sidetracked even more because I had other projects that I really wanted to cast on that I said, roll yourself back in, rein yourself in, hold on, we're not going to get carried away with 16 zillion projects. So one of the projects that I was going to cast on this week was the Mystery Cowl by Laura Nilken. And I seriously, up until the day the first clue came out, I was looking at my stash trying to figure out what would work, what wouldn't work, what my options were. I was thinking, okay, if I have something in hand spun, I can use that, you know, just going back and forth and trying to figure it out. And in the end, I realized that I really don't have the right yarn for that knit along. So I crossed that one off my list. which was good because honestly, I was on websites going to order yarn, and I kept saying, I could just get this and then I can start it. No, the whole idea was to knit from your stash and work from your stash. And if you don't have the correct yarn for that project, then you just need to move on. And because I was already working on another mystery knit along, and I've been working on my own design that will come out as a mystery knit along, I think, later this year, I decided that I think I'm okay right now. I don't need to have another shawl on the needles. So we're going to cross that one right off the list. I don't have to knit it. I do have the pattern, and I can knit it at any time that I'm ready to knit it, and when I'm ready to buy more yarn, and I can buy the correct yarn. That's the thing. I don't like to have, I have plenty of yarn that I have the right quantity, but I just didn't think that I had the right yarn for that pattern. And having not seen it, it's hard to really say. Maybe I do have some yarn that I could use, and once I see the design a little bit further, I might be able to use something that I have. But for now, that one is off the list. The next item that I nearly cast on, and will probably be cast on before I leave for Zombie Knitpocalypse, is the Infinitam, I think. Infinitam. And I received this pattern from Deborah. I want to say her name is Deborah Tomasello, but I'm not 100% sure. She contacted me and wanted me to promote the pattern on the blog or on the podcast, which I will be doing, because after she sent it to me for me to review and to look at, I was utterly amazed, and I just and because this week my knitting mojo was just, raring to go, I was like, I must knit this hat. So that is going to be on the needles very soon, and I will be showing that in an upcoming podcast, and we will be doing a giveaway for that as well. So that is I think it's called Infinitam. I'm not 100% sure if that's how to pronounce it. Anyway, it is a very, very cool thing, and like I said, hopefully it will be cast on before I leave for Zombie Knitpocalypse, and maybe I will have some good progress on it, and I can show it to you the next time I record. And the last project that I really wanted to cast on, and I didn't cast on yet, but it will also probably be cast on before I leave for Zombie Knitpocalypse, is the Brioche hat. And what happened was I started watching podcasts again, and I watched Quilt Moxie, which is Ariana. If you remember, I think it was back in November last year, I did an interview with Ariana on the podcast, and I promoted her podcast. And she does a podcast where she goes through taking the Craftsy courses and does all the patterns and the projects and whatnot, and talks about what she's learned, what she liked about the class and whatnot. Well, she is doing a knit along for the Brioche stitch. There are 2 Craftsy classes for the Brioche stitch, and over the summer she's got, I think it's like June and July and August. There's like 3 different times that you can do a pattern, and you can do either class or both classes or a combination of the 2. So while watching Ariana's podcast, I was inspired to sign up for the Brioche class. Now, I can't remember which Brioche class I signed up for. I'm probably going to sign up for both of them, because she did mention that there's different techniques and different things in each different class. So even though it's the Brioche stitch, there's things that you'll learn different in each class. And I'm sure that Craftsy sets it up that way anyway. So Ariana is doing a prize drawing for the, I think it's for the 1st June, July, and she has this fabulous knitting bag that she sewed. And it is awesome. And when she showed it on the podcast, and this was her most recent podcast from, I think it was June 6th. When she showed it on the podcast, I was like, I must have that bag. And even though I probably will not win it, because I'm sure she'll have a bunch of people that are participating in the knit along, I was just inspired to knit along with her and do this knit along. So I will be casting on the Brioche hat, which is in the class that I signed up for on Craftsy. And if you are interested, you can go over to the Quilt Moxie podcast on Ravelry, on her Ravelry group, or you can go to quiltmoxie.com and check out her latest episode. She does an episode just once a month, so you don't have to be overwhelmed by adding a new podcast. Because she only records once a month, and her episodes are around 30 minutes. So yeah, it's not a big, huge time commitment for another podcast. And she has a lot of really good information. And she usually does some kind of little tutorial or something at the end of the podcast as well. So go and check out her podcast in regards to her Brioche knit-along that's coming up. Well, that's actually going on right now. It's June. Let's talk about my stash enhancement. Now, obviously, there hasn't been any stash enhancement this week. But I have been thinking about this, and I really need some serious motivation to stick to my diet and exercise plan. And I am thinking about taking on the same idea that Sock Bunny, Kimberly, of the Sock Bunny Knit and Fit podcast, that she does, where she rewards herself for her exercise. Now, my reward, however I do this, has to be a little bit different than how she does it, because I believe she does, once you get to 300,000 steps or some step count, then she gets a prize. And I need to have a little bit more motivation than that, because first of all, I do a lot of steps and I would rack those steps up pretty quickly. But secondly, for me it's more imperative for what I want. Sammy is running up the pole. Now she's stuck up there because she has nowhere to go. It's more imperative for me to actually lose weight, because I can stick to an exercise program for 2 or 3 weeks or what have you, but then I lose motivation and I fall off the wagon and I lose all the progress that I have made. So my thought is that my reward has to be based on weight loss, strictly weight loss. And I haven't really thought exactly how I want to do it, and I wanted to kind of get your input on it. If you have been working with the same kind of reward system with Kimberly for the last, I don't know, she's been recording for quite some time. If you've been doing this, your posters and whatnot, how do you determine how you're going to be rewarded? I'd like to hear your theories on how that works for you. And also, do you penalize yourself if you don't do what you're supposed to do? And I'm thinking that I need to be penalized somehow. And I'd like to have your suggestions on how I should penalize myself if I don't eat a healthy diet or what have you. So kind of what I'm thinking is that it's going to be something like X number of dollars in yarn or what have you for each pound lost. And possibly another value of X number of dollars in yarn for each day that I eat what I'm supposed to eat. And what I mean by eat what I'm supposed to eat is not necessarily within my calorie range, because I have a bad habit of eating junk but making sure that I don't go over my calorie range. And honestly, a bowl of popcorn is not nutritious, even though it's 400 calories, and I could eat a 400 calorie salad, or I can eat a 400 calorie bowl of popcorn. the salad is going to be much more nutritious. So my idea is that it would be, I'd have to eat what I'm supposed to eat, and by that I mean nutrient-rich foods, and then to also stay within my calorie range as well. So yeah, I just kind of would like to have some ideas of what you guys are doing, because I know Kimberly's been doing this for a very long time, and I'm sure that many of you are doing this along with her and have established your reward system. I have already started my list of rewards, but I need to be, you know, I need to have a set goal of how I'm going to go about doing this. So I would love your input on that. Another thing that I have been thinking about this week is my YouTube. And this summer, I am setting a goal for myself to promote my YouTube channel. Now, obviously, we all know that Blip has really started to crack down on the knitting podcast, and every single week I hear of new podcasters that have been kicked off of Blip. Now, I am still uploading with Blip, and I will continue to upload with Blip as long as I possibly can, because I know I still have a number of viewers that watch from Blip. So I will continue to upload there as long as I possibly can, until they say, you're done, out of here. And I will continue to upload to WordPress, so that it will go to iTunes and whatnot. Because I want to make the podcast available to everybody to watch on their own platforms. Because honestly, I prefer to watch in Downcast. If I could have all my podcasts in Downcast, then it would be much easier for me. But I know that there's a lot of podcasts that are only going to YouTube, and that's all they're doing. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm subscribed to them on YouTube, and there's other ways that I'm trying to stay connected with the podcasters so that I know when a new episode comes out. And you can watch next week's podcast or next week's tutorial to kind of get an idea of how I'm doing that, because that's what I'm going to focus on for next week. Some of the forums and whatnot on Ravelry. It's going to be a very exciting tutorial. I have learned a lot this week, and I'm excited to share with you what I have learned. Anyway, back to YouTube. So I've been doing some research, and I'm trying to get my subscriptions up on YouTube, as well as the views on YouTube. Now, I would say that I probably only get about 20% of my views from YouTube. 20 to 30% of my views from YouTube. But I would like to get those views a little increased, and I'd like to get the subscriptions up. So, this summer, my goal is to really promote the YouTube site. I'm going to be doing some advertising on YouTube, hoping to, attract new viewers from outside of Ravelry, from outside of the people who normally watch the podcast and whatnot. So, one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to run some of my giveaways on YouTube. And the first one that I'm going to do on YouTube is the giveaway for the Subversive Sock ebook, which was my review from last week's episode. If you saw the episode from last week, I did a review of the Subversive Sock ebook from Cooperative Press, and I posted it on YouTube. I've posted it everywhere. But I'm going to do the giveaway on YouTube. So what you have to do to try and win a copy of that ebook is to go to my YouTube channel, and I will link it in the show notes. I will also link it on Ravelry in this thread for this episode. But go to YouTube. And on Ravelry, I link the YouTube episode anyway, so you should be able to just click the YouTube video and then click to go to YouTube if you're not already watching directly from there. So you go to the YouTube channel on the episode for Subversive Socks, not this episode. Make sure you go to the episode for the Subversive Sock review. Post a comment on that episode, Subversive Socks, and let me know what your favorite socks are in that book. And then I will do my random number drawing from the list of comments. And I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work because I don't think they have numbers, but I think I might have to just either make a spreadsheet or just count down. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do the random number, but it will be a random number, or I will just put everything into a spreadsheet and draw numbers like I do for iTunes drawings. But I will get all of the, whoever puts a comment in. Now, not only do you have to put a comment in, but you must subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, again, I understand that maybe you don't want to watch YouTube all the time for your podcasts. But if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, when I post a new episode, you will automatically get an email saying, hey, look at me, there's a new episode out there. So if that is one way that you would like to have to know when a new episode comes out, then you can subscribe to the channel. But you have to be subscribed to the YouTube channel, the Knitting Blooms YouTube channel, and you have to put a comment in for the episode for the Subversive Sock review. In addition to that giveaway, I'm also going to be preparing a huge prize package. Now, the last few years I have done Podiversary giveaways and 3,000 member drawings and whatnot. And I'm going to do something similar to that, but again, it's going to be focused around YouTube. So you must be a member or subscribed on YouTube. And then when I get this prize package together, I will show it to you the next time I record, which will be around the 26th of June. And then I'll go through all the details on how you can enter to win that prize package. And it's going to take me a while to get it together. I have to figure out what I'm going to put in it and all of that. So, like I said, I just want to try and boost my ratings up on YouTube, and you can help me by subscribing to my YouTube channel. I am leaving for Zombie Knitpocalypse in less than a week. I am so excited. I'm so excited to be going to this retreat, to be able to hang out with, I don't know, I think over 100 knitters. I'm just very excited. And if you are going to be at Zombie Knitpocalypse, I look forward to meeting you. Our plan is to leave Wednesday morning. I think it's like a 10-hour drive from my house to Rochester, Minnesota. I am picking up 2 people along the way as I go, and hopefully we will be arriving in Minnesota somewhere around early evening, or I don't know, what's like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Is that early evening? Is that considered early evening? I don't know. I'm hoping that we arrive around that time. But I don't know how many stops we're going to be making around, throughout the drive. There's a time difference, but we gain an hour. So I'm hoping that we arrive at a reasonable hour, and maybe we can get together. I think there's going to be some meet and greets or something Wednesday evening for those people that are arriving early. But I'm very excited about going. It's going to be an awesome, awesome time. And I really look forward to hanging out with everybody there next week. But let's talk about VKN. I know I've been talking about having another VKN for who knows how long. I am going to go ahead and schedule it. Because if I don't schedule it, it could be 3 more weeks before I have it. And at this point, it's still going to be 2 more weeks before I have it. I'm going to schedule the next VKN for Friday, June 27th from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, I know that we talked about having the next VKN on a Saturday, but I'm pretty sure that the Saturday I come back from Zombie, we are going to be working on the floors. Unless we get completely motivated, we're attending the hardwood floor workshop at Home Depot this weekend, this coming up weekend. And unless we get extremely motivated and come home from our workshop and start hammering down floorboards, I don't think it's going to be started until I get home, because Steve, there's no reason that he needs to do it by himself. Sorry about that. So it probably won't start going down until the weekend I get back, which will be the 28th. So I don't want to plan a VKN for Saturday the 28th, because obviously I'm going to be putting floor down. So I'm going to schedule it for Friday the 27th from 7 to 10. And then I'm also going to schedule the next few after that as well. Saturday, July 12th, I'm going to schedule a 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I have no idea what time that is in England, Europe, or Australia, or whatever. You guys need to figure that out. And I think 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. is really late for Australia, but I think it would be a good time for England. I think that would be like mid-morning. I think England is like 5 hours ahead of us, I think. And then the next one after that will be Friday, July 25th from 7 to 10. And I'm going to try and alternate between the Friday and the Saturday VKN, so that everybody can kind of join in that what works for them. And then if one or the other is not busy, like if I do a couple of Saturdays and nobody shows up, or we get 1 or 2 people, then we might just go back to doing the Friday nights, and we'll see how that goes for a while. But I am going to try and schedule it for every 2 weeks, and then I might end up canceling, and saying we're only going to do it once a month, because I know other podcasters do VKNs as well, and it might just be too much for everybody. So the next VKN will be Friday, June 27th from 7 to 10, and then the following one after that will be Saturday, July 12th from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. So mark your calendars, be ready to do it, and we're going to have a fun time knitting together on VKN. Okay, I think the last thing that I have for you today is some drawings. Now, I was originally going to pull some prizes out of my prize bin for these drawings, but because I'm going to be gone at Zombie Knitpocalypse next week, I thought it would be easier just to do giftable patterns. So we're going to do giftable patterns again this week for the Knit Your Stash Challenge, as well as the iTunes drawing. So for the chatter thread, I did a drawing from number 349 to 468. Those are the numbers that since the last time I did a drawing for the chatter thread. And the number that came up was number 389, and that is Indigo Dog Montana. I think that's what her Ravelry ID is. And that is Stephanie. So congratulations, Stephanie. You have won a pattern of your choice, a giftable pattern of your choice of $7 or less on Ravelry. So just get in contact with me and let me know which pattern it is that you would like me to gift to you, and I will send that right along to you. And again, that is from the chatter thread, the Knit Your Stash chatter thread. So if you are not chatting in the chatter thread, get on over there and start chatting. And again, it's going to be based on from the last time I did a drawing to the current drawing number. So this was from 349 to 468. And it was number 389. Indigo Dog Montana. Stephanie. Congratulations once again. And for the Knit Your Stash Challenge FO thread, I will always draw from 0 to the current post. So the longer that you have your finished objects in that thread, the more opportunity you will have to win. And this week, we went from 0 to 206, and it came up as number 184, and that is Betty for Fiber. And obviously that's Betty. So congratulations, Betty. You have also won a pattern of your choice of $7 or less on Ravelry. So just get in contact with me and I will send you that pattern. And we also have an iTunes drawing. And we only had one new comment for iTunes since the last time I podcasted, or last time I did a drawing, and that is going in there. And it was actually a Canadian person who put in a comment. And I thought there was something wrong with iTunes, and I still think there's something wrong with iTunes because I had some real difficulty trying to get my reviews when I changed to a different country. It kept telling me what I'm searching for is not available in this country. And I can't get anything in iTunes unless I specifically search for it. So I'm not sure what's up with that. But I was able to finally get over to Canada and get that new comment in. But there were no new comments in the US. So if you have not put in a comment for Knitting Blooms on iTunes, and you would like to be put in for this drawing, which I do every month, then rush on over to iTunes and put in a comment. So again, this is a giftable pattern on Ravelry for $7 or less. And we will draw the winner right now. I kind of like doing drawings like this in the bag. And the winner is Brown Eyes YP, I think. If that is you, then please get in contact with me and I will send you a pattern of your choice on Ravelry of $7 or less. Congratulations! And that's all I have for you. And honestly, we are well over an hour. So what I might have to do, and that's even with not showing you any of my whips. Crazy! So what I might have to do is maybe cut out a couple of things and post them as a separate video or save them for the next time that I record. I don't know yet. I have to see how the editing process goes. I might be able to condense some of it down. I'm not sure yet. There was a lot of information to share this week. So I hope you enjoyed the podcast, whatever it was that I shared with you on this recording. And I look forward to seeing you or talking to you in 2 weeks. And if you are going to be at Zombie Apocalypse, I will see you next weekend. So, bye for now.
As always, thanks for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Please feel free to contact me with your comments or suggestions, as I am always trying to improve the show. You can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, and YouTube as Bloomingknitter. You can also find me on Plurk, Twitter, and Pinterest as Bloomingknitter, but I don't frequent those sites as often. I post show updates on Twitter and Facebook, and sometimes to Google Plus and Plurk. I am Miss Aerobics on MyFitnessPal and Fitbit. You can always find all the old episodes as well as links to the tutorials on the blog at www.knittingblooms.com. And you can also follow the show on Facebook. You can email me at knittingblooms@gmail.com, and show notes can be found at knittingblooms.com.